interesting show. As you can see, I'm joined by two beautiful faces. I've got Lois, I've got Leanne. They will be hosting the show going forward quite frequently. So, Lois, Leanne, how are you both doing?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good. I know you both are fresh, straight from a call. It's been rushing to get here on time.
Yeah, had to dash for an emergency wee, so I'm all good now.
It's good. Everything worked out perfectly. I'm going to do a couple of things. First, say hello to everyone that's on the stream, and then I'm gonna explain to everyone what the agenda is for today. So we've got Brian, we've got Luke, we've got Wooch Siege00. We have Caitlin, Garden Florida. We have Linguin Inc. Probably saying this wrong. We have Hannah. We have Kara. So it's very busy, which is good. So the agenda for today is to do a little introduction of the two beautiful ladies that are going to be hosting going forward. They're going to tell you a bit about their background, what they do at Niche Website Builders, and as usual, after that, we're going to tear down two age domains that are available in our inventory. So I'm going to start with Leanne. So Leanne, how about you tell us a little bit more about yourself, your background, and what you do at Niche?
Of course. So I'll start with Niche first. I think that makes the most sense. So I'm the head of the customer strategy team at Niche Website Builders. I've been on a bit of a journey through Niche. So I started 2 years ago tomorrow, actually. I started 2 years ago tomorrow as the link building manager, where I was looking after Eleanor when she was on my team. And then I moved across to the customer success team in October 2021, I guess. I say moved across, like we didn't have a customer success team. So we set up this team to try and transform, the experience that we can offer our customers and build better relationships with them, which has worked really, really well. And then this year, my role was changed to be customer strategy because that's what I'm passionate about. And we've grown, obviously, as an agency, and there's a bigger calling for us to have strategy as a key focus. So that's where I am now. And Lois has just joined my team on the strategy side, which is super exciting. And then before that, I'd been doing this for longer than I care to admit. So I started in SEO 13 years ago, which makes me feel very old. I trained as a journalist in uni and I graduated when there was a huge financial crash and there were just no jobs, or the jobs that there were available didn't want to pay me anything, which, I couldn't do that really. So I just fell into SEO. I had a friend of a friend who needed somebody who could write. So I went and worked for him as an e-commerce manager. He was a terrible person, but that's another story. And I was doing SEO, but I had no idea what I was doing. I was just writing as far as I was concerned. I was updating products on the website. I was writing blogs, but I had no clue what I was doing. I don't think he had any clue what we were doing either. So I left there after a year and a half and started in a digital marketing agency. And that's really where I started to learn and build my kind of roots and my passion for SEO. I've moved into various roles since then. I've been in-house, I've worked in agencies, I've worked with B2B, B2C, even business to government. Weird and wonderful niches, from bin washing to car sales to finance. Like, I've done a bit of everything. So I'm great at pub quizzes at this point, I think. And yeah, I started Niche 2 years ago and it's been a fantastic journey. So super happy to have found somewhere where I'm really able to grow. Oh, hi, doggy.
He had to announce himself.
He did. I've got 3 cats sleeping on the bed behind me, and I'm so nervous in case they get up and start kicking off, but we're okay at the moment.
I don't think it can be as bad as a bark. I think barking.
So yeah, that's a whistle-stop tour of what I've done, really. I'm a bit of an old lady in the industry now, I suppose.
That's a lot of experience, though. It's great that you've kind of have experience from all different types of different niches and also in-house and in agency, which is always very valuable.
Much prefer agency, by the way. Like,
really?
There's always that debate for SEOs as to which you prefer. For me, in-house is so boring. Like, it's good because you don't have to jump through so many hoops and you're closer to the end result. but it's so dull. Like I like the fast pace of agency life. So yeah, agency for me.
It's a good insight. Very, very good insight. Great. Lois, shall we get to you then?
Hello.
Tell us everything.
Oh, where do I start? I'll start with niche. So I started here 15 months ago. You guys actually interviewed me, which is incredibly insane. Um, I also started at the links department, which is a bit of a theme going on here, I think. And then literally 2 weeks ago, I was promoted to website investment specialist, which has been an absolute ball ever since. It's been really, really good to learn this side of the business and SEO and stuff like that, which is absolutely great. I come from an e-commerce background, so I graduated from uni with a digital media degree. I sort of fell into e-commerce actually. I was there for 3.5 years, decided I absolutely hated that side of digital marketing. Then I saw the advertisement for niche came up, and now here I am. So yeah, it's been a fun ride. It's been good.
Awesome, awesome. So I guess let's dive a little bit into our portfolios and side hustles, because me and Leanne have obviously been very open about the fact that we have our own sites. We like to experiment and work on SEO outside of work as well as at work. Lois, on the other hand, is looking at starting her own site, which is
Yes.
excellent. So, Leanne, I guess you have more sites than me. So, how about you take us through your whole portfolio of sites?
Yeah, I have too many sites. Let me preface this by saying I've always been a side hustler. So
Okay.
before I had websites, I've dabbled. I've bought and sold makeup, like bought it from wholesalers, sold it on Facebook Marketplace. I've made keyrings and cards and tried to sell those. I've done cat sitting. I've always been a bit of a side hustler. So this world is just perfect for me because I just love having something going on the side. So I started a kind of side business a couple of years ago, and I think I created my website maybe 3 years ago, but I didn't really know what I was going to do with it. I was going to do e-commerce at the time. I was going to sell products on there in the spiritual niche. That was an absolute nightmare to try and do. So I just kind of left this domain sitting for a while, did my tarot readings and stuff on the side under the brand. And then it was only really when I started here that I saw the value, and I kick myself now because I could have been doing this stuff years ago. I could have thousands of pounds in a portfolio right now, but I never had the foresight to do this as a side hustle. But I started to take my main site, which is a spiritual site, seriously probably about 18 months ago. And it's grown amazingly. It's got a very long way to go. It's not making me any crazy life-changing money, but it's so rewarding to watch the growth. I built it on a fresh domain. Obviously I haven't done any age domain work myself. I've got just fresh domains in my portfolio, but it's been so rewarding to watch it grow. And I'm approaching my next milestone now, which is going to be 200 posts on the site, and I'm excited to see what that is going to do to my traffic. But I do have too many websites. I think I've got shiny object syndrome. So I get these ideas and then I go and see if there's a domain available. And then before I know it, I've bought said domain and then don't know what I'm going to do with it. So I'm trying to behave myself now and just keep focused. But I've got my spiritual site is my main one. I've got a gardening site and a cat site, which are kind of my secondary sites. And what I've done with those, if I've added a certain amount of content and then I've largely left them to sit and to mature. And that's been really interesting to watch the difference in the two niches and how they're growing. So they're both picking up traction, but the cat site is older than the gardening site. The gardening site is only just approaching a year old, I think, but that one is picking up so much more traction than the cat site is. So that's been interesting to watch. And my goal is to get both of those monetized by the end of this year and start taking them more seriously, like I am with my main site. And then I've got a few others floating around that I just haven't had time to launch. I've got a cooking site. I've got what else have I got? I've got an animal site. That might be it. I hope that's it. I think it is. But the gardening site and the cooking site, I lost both my grandparents in the last 2 years, sorry, and gardening was always my gramps. You know, he was always outside planting his garden. It was his passion, and he always showed me how to garden. You know, when I was a little girl, I'm still terrible at it, but I set that site up to honour him. And then so it's got his name in the domain name. And then for the cooking site, that was my nan. You know, when I think of her, she was in the kitchen, she was cooking delicious food. So I've set up a site with her name in the domain for the cooking niche. So just keeps them close to me. I can never sell those sites now, obviously, because they mean too much to me. But
never.
yeah.
Oh wow.
So yeah, that's me.
You're in some awesome niches. Like you're like in some really, I think, really good. Obviously, some competitive, but like some of them are really, really, really awesome niches. So how do you find time? Because you obviously have way more sites than me. Like in the evenings, like how do you know? Okay, today I'm going to work on the gardening side, or am I going to work on the spiritual side? Like how do you do that?
The gardening site and the cat site, they are neglected at the moment. I'm fully aware of that. I need to pick them back up, especially because of what my goal is for this year. What I try and do is I do outsource content on my spiritual site. So I probably outsource 8 to 12 articles a month. And then I hone in on, you know, doing my keyword research very thoroughly, doing all of my internal linking. I do all the uploading myself as well. But then I do try and write kind of 4 or 5 pieces a month myself if I can. So I usually spend maybe 2 evenings a week on that site if I can. I would love to spend a lot more, but you know, I'm very conscious I don't want to burn out either. So as much as, you know, dedicating more time with them would see me be a lot more successful, you know, I think I just have to be a bit careful about my time at the moment as well. So yeah, that's how I sort of split it right now.
That sounds fair enough, to be fair. It's nice that you've dedicated evenings where this is the 2 evenings where I'm just going to work on them rather than just having a chaotic schedule where I'm going to probably work on them tomorrow. I'm too busy. But yeah, that sounds great.
You're a workaholic, though. You do yours most evenings, right?
Yeah, but I think I'm starting to realize that it's what you were talking about, burning out. It's you're starting to kind of hate it because you're doing it like so much. So I've started to take some evenings off and just like
Good.
Yeah, try not to do it every day because it's too much. It's literally like too much. But yeah, like speaking of, I've obviously mentioned my portfolios. And, it's not really a portfolio, like 2 sites.
Still portfolio.
Start.
2 sites. Yeah, it's kind of bizarre because obviously when I started my first site, like I was literally just no idea what I was doing. Like I think I got in this scam, like watching YouTubers telling you, do this, it's so easy, open a blog, within 6 months you can quit your job and you can work from home. And I was like, well, that's great, it's that easy. So yeah, I was a little bit stupid really when I started my first blog. I was like, great, I'm gonna start the blog, get out of this rat race, and I'm gonna earn money from home blogging. Great. 2.5 years later, I'm still working full time, so that hasn't worked out. But yeah, it's been a roller coaster really, because obviously when I started, I have no idea what SEO was about. Like I didn't know what SEO was. SEO, no idea. Like I didn't know what that is. Didn't know it existed. So I just blogged and just wrote stuff and posted them and took really bad pictures, and it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. Then made a series of mistakes when I first started working in the SEO industry, and then progressed on doing that. Some things I got right, some things I didn't. So my very first site is kind of like it's like a mouse. There's been so many injections put into it, and also
I wondered where you were going with that.
it's like now are they rats or are they mice?
Lab rats. Yeah, you mean.
Oh God.
I know, it's like it's so bad. It's mutated. It's all over the place. I think that site is if I can revive it, that's great. But it's like so hard. I've done really, really loads of mistakes there. But that's good because my second site is actually doing pretty good. So I've kind of taken what I've done from that side and kind of implemented it on my second site, the good bits, obviously. So it's just but there is like other factors that I have taken into place. I do explore social quite a lot. I see not many SEOs do that. especially now with the new EEEAT now
Yeah.
experience. I'm proving experience through YouTube videos. I've
Mm.
started TikTok as well now. I hate TikTok, but I started it because it's no way I can avoid it. So yeah, it's always good because I think it has contributed. I think using socials has contributed to some of my success. But I also outsource content because I'm not really a writer. I write really badly, and I don't really like writing. So outsourcing is a must. But what I find with writers, obviously, because niche website builders will write the writers will write the content, and your content gets uploaded, formatted, and all you have to do is press go, publish. I'm finding myself every evening just uploading all the time. I'm just uploading constantly. And I hate uploading as well. And it just makes me miss the fact that you can just hire an agency like Niche Website Builders and they can do that all for you. But yeah, everything will happen eventually. But yeah, I mean, we're still hustling, still trying to
Still
still
hustling.
trying to still trying to make a living out of this, but it's gonna happen eventually. It's gonna have to keep pushing, you know.
It's the best way to learn though, right? You talked about the mistakes that you've made. You never get that opportunity anywhere else because obviously, I mean, before here, I'd worked in a more traditional SEO way, I suppose, where, you've got these clients that come to you, whereas, we're working with portfolio owners or, people who are doing side hustles themselves here. But you can never really experiment too greatly on anyone else's site, on a customer's or a client's site. So, it's the best way to learn is just doing it yourself. And you have to make those mistakes. That's how you get better, as painful as
Yeah,
they might be.
yeah, it's not good to experiment on client sides.
No,
That's
I've
something
seen people do that. It's not good.
it's not good now.
No.
Yeah, the things I've done on that side. Oh my god, butchered it. But it's fine. It's fine. It's all good because now I know. It's yeah. I'm gonna save a client to save myself for the future. But with the shiny object syndrome, I am looking at other sites as well, other opportunities right now. But it's just really hard because I've got two sites and I'm really struggling to keep on top of them. So yeah, it's hard. So yeah, I'm gonna have to be careful whether I should give up one side and start another. But then you're like giving up on that, and you hate that you're giving up on it, and then you're starting on the next one, and then you're probably gonna get bored. You're probably gonna start on the next one. So I'm gonna have to set my priorities straight and just
Yeah.
say these are the two sides. These are I'm working on, rather than just
Mhm.
what if I start a new one? And it's just
I
tempting.
think the other thing for me is obviously because I've been in the industry such a long time, I've seen the evolution of what Google has done. And as much as I know, and as much as I'll advise customers that if you want the most success, you invest all of your time and energy and money into one site. But that also makes me a little bit fearful because I don't want to put all of my eggs in one basket. So yes, I am splitting my resources. But it does make me feel better because I feel like I've got more that I can fall back on. So, but we're
Yeah.
all different in how we approach those things. And I think it depends on how much of a risk taker you are as well. And I'm not a massive risk taker. So
Yeah, I'm hearing like multiple different opinions from experts. Obviously, some people say spend all your time on one side. Some people say start with portfolio. I guess it really depends on your resources. Are you working full time? How much time can you dedicate and all that sort of thing? I think it really depends. Some people have the money to outsource from agencies like Niche Website Builders, obviously. So you can easily have a portfolio of multiple different niches, multiple different sites. But ultimately, we are basically having those little side hustles, trying to make it happen.
yeah.
Lois, you are looking to start your own site. Have you thought of any niches at all? Like, have you?
This is literally the hardest thing I think I've ever had to think about. And I feel so lazy now being here with you guys speaking about all your portfolio. But I will get there. I think, like Leanne said, it's just taking the plunge and actually doing it. And I think with all the stuff that I've learned throughout niche and things, I think I'm getting to a point where I'm like, right, it's like now or never. But I don't know, like I'm really, really struggling with the niche. That is the one thing I'm just a bit like, I have no idea where to begin because there's so many. But I mean, I'm looking into it. I am looking into it, let's just say, and we'll see.
Okay.
But yeah.
It can be quite difficult for people, especially with the first site. You often see you're gonna be on the stream and someone will say, "What's the best niche to get into?" This is like 90% of the time, someone will will ask this question, like, "What is the best niche to get into? What is the best, most
Yes.
profitable niche?" And the truth is, even if people know, they're quite unlikely to tell you because they probably want that niche for themselves. But
True. Yes,
ultimately, obviously, we've worked on our data project at Initial Site Builder, so we have seen some stats that could, help us decide which one seems more profitable with less content, etc. But all in all, people are sniffing opportunities and people are getting into those niches, and it's really hard to find one that isn't very competitive. People still do find those, which is great, but more and more people are like awakening and finding opportunities. So sometimes it's just worth going to, just deciding a niche and just go with it, and just
True.
try to get through the difficulties and try to get to the top, because some people will go in these niches and they will be like a month or a year later they're like, that's too difficult, I'm gonna give up.
Yeah.
You will keep
That's
going.
true.
And
Yeah,
it's
I'll
just
be like Leanne and I'll have like 10 different sites or something. I'm like,
Don't be like Leanne.
no, I'm excited, but yeah, we'll see. I just feel like it's like my first site just going to be like my baby. Like I want to protect it and make it like amazing. So I think as well, I'm such a perfectionist. So I think that's what's stopping me at the moment from actually just picking it, doing it and getting on with it, because I know I'm just going to be like, oh, why isn't this working? I want it to, like it should. Well, but I mean, that's part and parcel of SEO, isn't it? So,
Yeah, I think especially if it's your own baby, it really hurts because I check rankings every day, almost constantly, when you shouldn't. And when keywords go down and your traffic goes down, you're like, oh, like it really hurts. If it's a client, oh well. If it's yours,
I think I take it personally either way.
Yeah, you do. That's so true.
It's like, yeah, it really hurts, but it's good because it helps you. You're like, I'm gonna try harder and try and find those competitors and get their spot. But that's good that you're thinking. It's always good because it really teaches you a lot, not just about SEO but about yourself. Like, how dedicated are you as a person? Like, can you sit in the evenings and work? Can you cancel that plan? Depends what are your priorities. So it really will help you grow as a person as well. Right, so there's a really hot topic going on in the SEO community, and I keep saying to myself, I'm not going to talk about it, but it's so hard.
I wonder what it is.
It's AI. It's AI. So, Leanne, you shared yesterday the Google's new guidelines on AI content. So apparently Google is fine with AI content, automated content, as long as you're doing it right, not just pressing buttons, copy, paste, publish, right? It still needs a lot of work. It's not as simple as that. So Google is okay with it as long as you provide expertise, authoritativeness, all that stuff onto your content. It's okay to use it, but this kind of opens a debate whether or not the trouble to go through editing and making sure you provide that expertise within that AI content is worth that trouble, or should you just use a human writer that can just go out there and do it themselves? So, what are your thoughts, Leanne?
So I think I think AI content has come a long way. It's quite scary how ChatGPT is so much more advanced than its predecessors. And, I think I've said to a few people internally, to myself and my partner, he did the test and he asked ChatGPT to write a little story about an egg. And oh my gosh, the story was so beautiful. So that shocked me. And I just think it's come such a long way. There's still a lot of problems with it. It is very repetitive. I would never trust a fully AI done article to perform well in the search engines. I was just talking to the customer on the last call about this. Actually, they asked if it's something that we do. And sorry, I got distracted. We're bad influence. Sorry. The customer asked if it was something we do, and I said that it's just it still, I think, requires too much time and effort, and there's still too much fear to totally rely on AI generated content. So I do test it a little bit for myself on my own website. But I think in terms of doing that for a customer, until we yes, Google has come and said now suddenly they've done a bit of a U-turn and said it's fine. Until we're very, very certain, it would just be far too much of a risk to do anything with it. And even with the content that ChatGPT does put out, yes, it is good, but you still have to fact check. And the more that you're in trickier niches, it's going to be more and more important that these facts are correct. And it's very repetitive, as I said, so it does need that human touch to go in. And also you want it to sound like it's your voice on your website, so you have to edit it. So I don't know how great the time savings are right now with it, and it's definitely not something I would base a whole strategy on.
I agree. I was thinking about this last night, and I was thinking, I don't think I'll be able to sleep at night knowing I've got AI content on my site. I was like, I don't think I'll be able to, because I know all my sites right now, they have human content. Like I've not touched AI, and I can sleep at night. Because if I get hit, because Google is very clear, they say if your content is not good enough, we're gonna obviously, drop rankings. We're not gonna index your content, whatever they're gonna do to make sure they avoid getting that content ranked. So yeah, it's just kind of reassurance to me. Like if I get hit or I start losing rankings, at least I know that it's not AI related. So it's something I can probably fix. But imagine like pumping out hundreds of articles and then only to find out that these are actually not to Google standards, and then what do you do then? And the fact that you've got to edit and fact check, and that's just hassle, really. I'd much rather give a brief to my writer. They can go away, write it. I know it's human, and I can just upload it and sleep well at night. So it depends, really. Some people really can utilize those AI tools, and I definitely say if you can, definitely go for it. But personally, I can sleep better at night knowing I don't use AI so for now. So yeah,
it makes sense.
What are your thoughts on AI, Lois? Have you played around with ChatGPT at all?
No, not yet. I'm just scared to. I am so terrified of doing it. I think I'm not alone there though. I think everyone has the same opinion on it at the moment. It's advanced, but it's just not advanced enough to actually just trust it thoroughly. I mean, I'd rather either myself write a piece of content or get someone to write a piece of content rather than get a AI to at the moment. I'm still not convinced. I'm really, really not.
Yeah, it's some people are obviously sharing some amazing results. I was watching a video of Matt Diggity who did a great case study that was a site purely of AI content. He obviously went through and did loads of work on this AI content, so it wasn't just pump and dump. So I don't know whether this is a good word. But yeah, he kind of went through his process, and his process is very similar to what he does to human content anyway. So, but he just used that instead of humans to write it. But again, you still need humans, so you probably still need a writer or an editor. So if you're gonna pay that price, might as well just stay with a human writer
I
that
agree.
they can fact check. And because I was thinking, okay, well, if I want to do that all myself, I mean, how am I saving time? Because I have to produce this content and then try to make it original, change up bits, and who better can do this than an actual writer or an actual editor, right? So yeah, you have.
I suppose one of the things to play devil's advocate is, and I'm a perfectionist, so I will fact check things regardless of whether it's a writer or whether it would be an AI tool. So I suppose on that side of things, I think it's important regardless of who's doing it. If you're writing it yourself, you've checked, what you're including is fact. But I think either way, anything that comes back to me from my writers, I don't always have to check because I know the niche intrinsically anyway. So it's just, I know what the answers should be. But if I'm not sure, I would always go and fact check anyway.
Yeah.
So I suppose, with that in mind, it's no different in a way. But I do think there is still a lot of heavy editing that's needed. I've tried it on one of my posts. It was a de-indexed post, so I didn't worry about what would happen, and I just used it to bulk it up to make the article more competitive and to add some extra insight, and it seems to have worked well. The post is ranking. I haven't seen any issues, but it's one test case, so we'll see.
We'll see. I can see Mick is saying AI is a tool that's that is not need to fear. I agree there's no need to fear. Like, we're using tools all the time. We're using Ahrefs, SEMrush, Screaming Frog, all sorts of different tools, right? So they can definitely help us, but we're thinking of how can we save time and money, right? So if that's the job of AI, that's the job of tools to help us save time and money ultimately. But at the moment, I don't think it is, unless you have like a great structure, or you have an amazing understanding of how you can utilize that. That's absolutely great. I'm not saying you shouldn't. We have you need to be a good writer with AI prompts, so that skill is needed, definitely needed. When I go to ChatGPT, I'm just saying, can you write me this? But you actually it's actually a conversation you really need to have with the ChatGPT. From some videos I've seen online, people are actually having a proper conversation and kind of give it a little bit of a background before they don't just go in and say, okay, write me a 10,000 word article on this. They have to say, this is my tone, this is my brand, this. It's a whole conversation you're having, so that the AI can actually understand what you want to achieve. So I definitely agree that it's a skill in itself, and I think it's a skill we should all probably try and run at some point, because within the next 5 years, I think this is going to be quite essential.
The thing that's annoying me the most at the moment is I actually can't get into ChatGPT, so I have to use my partner's account. I think I signed up too late, and now it's like, I'm busy, come back, we'll let you know when there's more availability. I'm like, damn it, I want to test it more. So it's obviously the popularity of it has gone insane.
It's super busy.
I totally get that.
Yeah, it's super busy. I for some reason I can get through ChatGPT using my work email, but I can't get through ChatGPT using my personal email. It's so strange. So strange. We have Caitlin saying, I've just had a love-hate with AI. I agree. It is great too, but there is a long way to go in terms of human voice quality. Yeah, it's just a lot of work right now. Obviously, some people are utilizing it fantastically well, which is great. But for us right now, maybe not yet. Right. So for people on the chat, like, if you have any questions, this is like a really chilled out conversation. We're talking all things SEO, AI, whatever. So if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. We have one more from Luke, his opinion. In my experience, you've got to get onto ChatGPT at the right hours. So try before all the US users are online. Otherwise, the servers are full. I agree. I guess so. Yeah. I guess so, because I've accessed ChatGPT in the mornings, typically UK time, so I've seen more success then, less in the evening.
I've usually tried in the evening, so I'll have to give it a go.
Yeah, that's great. But yeah, I was just saying, if you have any SEO related questions, please make sure you ask them. Now I'm going to move on to the age domain teardown, so stick around. These things are going to get really interesting. So I'm going to come back to questions if you guys have got any. But I'm going to start with the first age domain, which is Beautiful Bees. It's such a beautiful name.
I love this.
Yeah, it's beautifulbees.org. So it's a, for some people, they might seem a bit confused, like, wow, why are you getting so excited about the bee niche, right? But I've got some really good findings. It's actually a really good niche. So the niche is bees slash whatever. If you have domain age of 9 years, DR21, and we have 51 referring domains. So as usual, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to dive deep into this domain. So, okay, beautiful bees, celebrating our native bees. So, as you can see, the domain was owned by a guy called Clay, and he was extremely passionate about bee species in his area. So according to him, he claims that in North America only, this is a home of 4,000 known species of native bees. So if only in North America there's 4,000 different species of bees. Imagine if we expand to the whole US, other parts of the world. This niche suddenly becomes very, very, very good. So he was passionate about bees in general. He was also kind of added that the services, bees whose services are worth an estimate of $3 billion per year to the US economy. Obviously, they make honey or whatever. And there are other things. I watched a documentary not long ago about people using method of healing as a method of anti-aging. It's bizarre. It's really strange. But ultimately, people are really utilizing some of the beauty of those bees, right? So if people are utilizing that, then there's definitely going to be people that are searching specific terms or searching for information related to bees. But we can always be very like surface level to begin, like what, like types of bees, which bees sting, which bees are poisonous, blah blah blah. We can do all different things. So let me move to the backlinks first. So we have US Today, which is great. We have Wired, very good. Redbubble, New Scientist. We have Photo Shelter. We have Elo.co. We have Peter Pixel. We have Provide Collision, Hobby Farms. We have Project Noah. This was pretty cool when I checked it. It's kind of relevant, so it's all sort of things about species, and yeah, it's great. This one's a good link. And a few more down the line as well. So we have some high quality, and then we have some high quality niche relevant as well. So all in all, I think this is a pretty good backlink profile. Now the anchor text profile is looking just as good. Filter them highest to lowest. We're seeing beautiful bees at the top, which is wonderful. We're seeing branded. We have beautiful North American bees, absolutely perfect. We've just seen about him talking about North America, which is fine. So yeah, it's great. The anchor text profile is pretty good. Now, let's take a look at the best pages by incoming links. Now, we're seeing that the top ones, so the top pages are getting the most links are the homepage, which is very good. It's very natural. You see, it's very, very good sign when you see that the homepage is getting the most links. Then we have an image here, which we wouldn't want to recreate anyway. We can't recreate it. We can't redirect it. And typically you'll see that they're very low quality backlinks that normally tend to point to images and PDFs. So I normally ignore them. We wouldn't really want to recreate this anyway. So if we are to recreate some, it'd probably be a handful of pages that are internal. But ultimately, it's very clean, and the majority of them are pointed towards the homepage. So you might be wondering, well, what's the plan for the bees then? Obviously, the domain is very much on the bees / insects. Now, we can definitely look to expand to insects down the line potentially, but obviously, as I've mentioned many times before, we need to make sure that we keep the relevancy as much as possible, at least to begin with. The domain was heavily focused on bees, so we should just start off with bees. Now, this could be many different things. Types of bees, bees 101, like beekeeping, all sorts of different things about bees. I'm not a bee expert, so yeah. We have honey and beeswax is something that we can touch on as well. I mean, this is obviously part of that. And then down the line, potentially look to expand to other insects as well. But ultimately, I feel that the bees have got enough to cover us for a couple of, depends how aggressive you are, but at least like for a couple of years. There's too much to talk about on bees, surprisingly. Right, so I've got a few competitors I want to show you. And whilst researching and looking through competitors, I was pleasantly surprised because I'm thinking, well, it's great. Like the niche seems very promising, but like, is there enough search volume? Is there enough people searching? Are there competitors we can use and check their best performing content? There definitely were. And the first one is Beehive Hero, Believe in the Buzz. DR23, so slightly higher authority than us, generating 40,000 per month, according to Ahrefs. Now, let's take a look at what they do. So these competitors are great to look at because they give us ideas. For someone like myself who's not a bee expert, I can come in and see, okay, well, that looks interesting, that's interesting, and then expand on that. So do bumblebees stink? A search volume of 24,000, which is pretty insane in my opinion. Dog eats bee, maybe not so much. What does a bee sting look like? Depends how you can do this, because people will probably be looking for an image on this specific content, so maybe not this. How to tell if honey is bad? Very good. As I mentioned, we do have I've mentioned we might potentially expand to honey as well at some point. Melting point for beeswax, again, something I have in my plan. Sweat bee sting, whatever that means. I don't know what sweat bee sting means. Is honey acid or alkaline? We have bee sting symptoms. Interesting. We have do carpenter bee sting. So as you can see, like for do a specific bee sting has got loads of search volume. So it might be worth looking through all types of different bees and which ones stink, which one don't. But the only concern I have with this type of content is that people are probably likely to look for a fast answer. So I guess if you Google this, you probably want to look at the featured snippet and move on. Like The only sting if provoked by touching or handling. So if I read this, it's very unlikely for me to go and click on it on the article. But I imagine still people click. But I want more content types that are where people can click. That is why I'm really into types of bees, because if you like have a piece of content that's like 50 of the most popular bees in the world, right? People are likely to click on that and go through the list and read that, right? But ultimately, this is still not a bad choice. How long do bumblebees live? Then we have bee versus bee. So we have honeybee versus yellow jacket. This is also good content, I think, because people still click to read more information about the differences between them. A feature snippet is not enough, I think, to explain what the main differences are between them. How long do bees live? Is, I guess, good. We have honey here. What makes honey dark? That's pretty good. Can you eat honeycomb? I guess that's fine. Where do bumblebees live? How to get rid of honeybees? Yeah, so you kind of get the point. So these guys are doing all sorts of different type of content related to bees, which is interesting. Definitely things we can take from here. So moving on to the next competitor. This one is the R20, generating 40,000 per month. Has had relatively steady traffic throughout the years. And let's take a look at what they're ranking for. Now, these guys do different insects. So this competitor will be good to come back to once we decide, if we decide to expand to other insects like butterflies and stuff like that. Just looking at their URL structure is terrible. It's terrible URL structure. I don't know. Right, so we have bee breeds, which is what I was talking about. I like that this is, I'm just gonna have to open this because the real URL structure is really bugging me. It's terrible URL structure.
It's bugging you. That was perfect, Eleanor.
That's it. That was awesome. Yeah, it's so strange. I don't like this at all. But yeah, ultimately, honeybee breeds and their features is the type of content I think is the best route for us. People have to click because they're interested. Now, there's a nice table here. I think it's pretty cool. Then we have something here about a specific bee. Then we have another bee, another bee. But yeah, this is kind of what I'm talking about here. And this competitor is ranking, considering they're terrible, in my opinion, URL structure. Right, we have owls, not relevant. But we have, what is the color of honeys? Yeah. How to get rid of ground bees. Again, this is perfect content because it requires you to ideally click and find out. We have also butterfly, honeydew honey, bee tongue. Wow, okay. Straight bee, wow. Types of bees in Wisconsin. Yeah, so I was looking at that the other day and I was thinking, great, this is giving me a great idea of doing listicle type of content on every single state of the US. Like what bees are in Wisconsin, Arkansas, New York, California, if that makes sense. So you can really expand. That's why I'm thinking this niche is great because there is so much different areas you could tackle it and really kind of expand the content opportunities. We can do listicle on small bees, all 100 types of small bees, green bees. We can do bees by color. Yeah, you name it. Like it's the opportunities are great. Like this is great. Which bees sting? You can do 50 bees that stink. You know, again, nice listicle. Yeah. So as you can see, they do obviously a mix of different insects, but ultimately, like they cover some bee-related content, which is great. So this kind of summarizes this first domain. I do really like it. I like the name. I like the opportunities. I like that it's not a niche that everyone will think to get into, which is excellent. So I'm going to move on to the next one, which is really, really different to this one. It's Golden Age baseball cards. Niche sports cards, 15 years old. They are 1,519 referring domains. So we've probably all heard of sports cards. I'm not really a huge fan, but each their own, right? Oops, I clicked this twice. Right, so I'm going to share my screen again, and we're going to get through that as well. Okay, so my tabs need loading. While this is loading, I'm going to go to the next one. So, vintage baseball card blog was very much exactly what you think it is and exactly what it says on the tin. The domain was very heavily focused on vintage baseball cards. Now, on this specific snippet I've got is the blog section. Now, they did still very heavily focus on sports cards primarily, but they also talked a little bit more about general baseball information, if that makes sense, on their blog section, but still very heavily focused on baseball cards. So this is kind of the homepage, and if you scroll down, like you can go all the way. They focus primarily to vintage sports cards on baseball. You can go back all the way back to the years, and we have all different kind of things going on. Just literally the golden mine for baseball cards, which kind of very easily made me decide this niche is sports cards, right? But obviously, because it's obviously focused on baseball cards, we're gonna have to start off with that first before we decide to expand to other cards. As I said, yeah, 15. And let's take a look at the backlinks. So we have The Guardian, great. CNN, great. ESPN, perfect. We have RP.com. I'm pretty sure this was relevant. MLB, great. It doesn't get any better than that. This link is fantastic. This one is, I guess, okay. Just, yeah. We have 5 million traffic. It's kind of a news kind of site, which is totally fine as well. Bleach Report, About Us, Beckett, Free Republic, Our Pastimes, Time Toast. What else have we got? A couple more down the line as well. But for me, these are like the top ones: The Guardian, CNN, ESPN, MLB especially is great. Like this is kind of this side, like at the very top. Like you can't get any better site. A link from any better site than this one, really. Yeah. 67 million, DR90, great backlink. I believe it's also do follow as well. If my computer can unfreeze, please. MLB, yes, one do follow link, which is great. Okay, moving on to the anchor text. Again, just like the last example, we are seeing that the top ones are branded, which is very, very good. Baseball is boring for a reason. So this must have been a piece of content, but it's fine, relevant. Then we have more relevant backlinks down the line as well. But I'm really happy that the top 2 are branded, so I can't complain. Same like last time, best pages by incoming links. The majority are pointed towards the homepage. That's fine. We may have to recreate some of them, like Hall of Fame. Let's take a look at what this. I'm pretty sure Hall of Fame was actually a category. Yeah, Hall of Fame is actually a category. So if there is things to recreate, it'll probably be a handful. So nothing too much. So the main heavily screams this is sports cards niche, right? So the first place we're going to start is baseball sports cards. Then look to expand to other sites, other cards, which can be a basketball, football, etc. And also how-to guides, like how to store sports cards, how to ship them, how to sell them, all that sort of thing, which can also be applied. But all in all, the strategy is very straightforward. So I've got a few competitors I want to show you. PCAcollector.com, they are 19, generating nearly 40,000 per month according to Ahrefs. They only have 94 posts, at least as Google, Ahrefs is showing, which isn't a lot considering their traffic. I'll take this as a good amount of traffic for 94 posts. So they obviously do multiple different cards, like Pokemon, but they also have baseball cards, which is perfect. We could definitely take the baseball cards content from them first and then maybe come back to them once we decide to expand to other sports cards. Most expensive baseball cards from the 80s, which is perfect because obviously if we go back, this is a vintage baseball card site, and they go all the way back in the 70s, 60s, etc. So that's great. Where am I? Oh, I'm not here. Then we have some other stuff here as well. Mickey Mantle baseball card worth. I have no idea. I think that's a type of card. Again, I'm really not great at sports card. But what I really like about this competitor is that they have covered stuff that are baseball related to us, which we can definitely take. And as I said, we can definitely come back for whatever other content they have for other cards. Right. The other one is even better. They're vintage baseball cards, which is 1-to-1 identical to what this domain we're looking at, this experiment we're looking at is vintage baseball cards, TR24, generating 34,000 per month. Now, these guys do obviously very heavily baseball cards related, as the name suggests. Here, So yeah, they have the names of the people. I'm not very good at. So it's 1980s. This fella, I don't know who he is, sorry, but it's his vintage card, and it apparently has search volume, and that's all I care about. We have Barry Sanders rookie card, most expensive football card. Okay, so they do have like content about other cards as well, which we can come back again and take a look at what that sort of content was once we decide to expand. Selling baseball cards is perfect. This is what I was talking about, potentially having a how-to guide section. Now we can talk about that sort of thing as well. Then we have other cards related content, baseball, TY card, baseball card values, very good. How to tell if a card is a reprint, perfect for our guide section. Jackie Robinson baseball card, and you get it. It's perfect. And then finally, one more competitor, which is called JustCollect.com. Once again, vintage baseball cards, generate 25,000 per month. And these guys have more how-tos and things like where to sell baseball cards, baseball card price list, very good search volume in my opinion. Sports card collection, how to get cards graded. I have no idea what that means, but that's cool. We have other cards, other autograph signers through the mail. Have scanning baseball cards. So yeah, like these competitors, basically, what I'm trying to show, they're very relevant to us. You see, which I really like. They have touched on other sports cards, which kind of tells us if they have touched up on other sports cards, why couldn't we? Eventually that's probably going to be the best route for us to touch on other sports cards as well. But this kind of summarizes this age domain as well. And yeah, guys, what do you think about these two age domains?
Oh, I want the B one.
Yeah, so cute. They're great. They're
They're
really
both
good.
fantastic. I don't think either of those will be around for very long.
No.
The B one, I think, is going to be growing. I think it's a good time to get on that because I think it's going to be growing in popularity because, all the talks around the climate and the importance of bees. And I know beekeeping, for example, in the UK has been on the rise purely because of that. So I think that's a fantastic niche. But yeah, they're both great sites.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you're right about the timing because they're very summery, springy, aren't they? So now it's really the springy and summery. Now is the perfect time, really, because you're going to see them pop out outside. They're going to come into your window and start sniffing some flowers. But yeah, I think it's great. Is the bee niche competitive? From my research, it's not as competitive right now. So it might be worth getting into it before it gets competitive. Do you want to buy this side? No, I think it's obviously every niche is competitive, but I think not many people have yet found, because it seems a bit like bees. Not many people think that until you find an age domain, of course, and you're like, oh, it's a thing. Or someone is like deeply passionate. Like the history of this age domain was someone really passionate about the niche, right? Clay. It was his project to find 4,000 different species around North America. So I think it's a good niche. Personally, I think it's, as Liana said as well, we think it's a good niche. Some really great backlinks. This might be favorite domain. Oh, Naomi, hey, yes, great. We have Luke saying a sweet bee is a type of bee. They're sometimes attracted to perspiration. What does that mean?
A sweat bee.
Yeah.
So it's attracted to sweat.
Oh,
I did
wow.
not know that was
Blush.
a thing. Oh.
Okay, we have Alexander giving opinion on 1 teaspoon of honey is the sum total of busy. Yeah, I've seen that
Important
statistic.
little critters.
It's kind of sad. What was the one who's amazing niche? I agree, Whaley. Cooks. I was thinking the same thing, and a lot of people are thinking the same, which is great. Right, we have straight fire life, great money in that niche. Easy to expand into other sports. Yeah, you're talking about sports card. Yeah, there's a lot to know in that space. Absolutely. Obviously, people love trading sports cards. Not my thing.
Big
but
money as well.
It's huge. Huge.
Yeah. I imagine, what's the affiliate programs like? They must be pretty good.
I'm not sure on the affiliate programs, but I know that some of these cards can go for hundreds and thousands online. So
insane.
Okay. Home beekeeping is a great space. Honey can also be sold for a tidy profit. Yes. I have personally bought very expensive honey from Amazon before. So if I have an expert telling me on a piece of content why this honey is good, types of honey, obviously not every honey is good. If you go to the supermarket, they're not the best quality, especially if you're buying cheap one. If you're looking to get the most nutrients from honey, definitely consider looking from an expert. Use honey in your tea instead of sugar, lifesaver. Okay, Visual Code Magazine. Sounds good. We have Sophie. It would be awesome to do bee season articles. Why you don't see them in the winter? Yeah, that's cool. I wonder that myself sometimes because there's no bees right now. They must be hiding somewhere,
They're
sleeping or whatever.
sleeping.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess, girls, do you have anything else you want to add?
No, apart from I'd like that site, but
I
no,
know.
nothing else. I think they're
Should that be my
fantastic.
first one?
Yeah, I think the good thing with the bee site as well, you touch upon like the beeswax thing, and there's always debates over soy wax candles versus beeswax candles, and yeah, there's just so much you could do, and there's there are a lot of people who are looking more into using pollen-based products for skincare. So I suffer from psoriasis, and I know that pollen-based skincare is great for skin conditions. So there's just so much that you could do. Yeah, fantastic. I want it.
That's obviously, I haven't thought of that as well. There's many products you could use that are really not just honey. People think bees, okay, honey, but it's not. It really isn't.
Yeah, there's a lot you could do.
Also, I was just thinking, if you're someone who keeps bees or you're interested in starting keeping bees, you have a big garden, whatever, for honey, to produce your honey, you need equipment, right? Like all these, don't know what it's called. That's expensive. You need all sorts of different smokes. I know bees don't like smokes, whatever. So there's like all sorts of different, it's such a cool niche, and I think it's a great find. So for those watching, get your hands on it before someone else does. Right. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. It was so good to have Lois and Leanne on the call. We introduced them. They're going to be appearing both very often now. They're our new hosts. Yeah, I hope you like to tear down. So I hope you like the conversation. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This is it. Thanks for watching. Take care.